What is up, Rockets Nation? Brace yourselves, because today's video is an emotional roller coaster that is going to test our loyalty. We've had a result in the last few hours that left a bitter taste in our mouths, snapping our magical streak, with idols disappearing in crunch time. But hold on, because, in a wild contradiction, a bombshell analysis just dropped from the national media, putting our team on a pedestal nobody saw coming. Are we real contenders or just a fun sideshow? A youngster shined while a veteran froze. You are not going to believe what we have today. So take a seat, subscribe to the channel if you think my content brings value, smash that like button, and let's get straight into the news. Let's start by facing reality, no matter how harsh it is. The atmosphere at the Toyota Center felt like the NBA Finals, a trial by fire in the NBA Cup against the Denver Nuggets. We were flying high, riding that sweet 5-game winning streak that had everyone believing we were unbeatable. But the reality of the NBA is brutal, and unfortunately, that magical run came to an end with a tight, painful 112-109 loss. And look, what hurts the most isn't losing to a powerhouse like Denver, but how we let the game slip away. In the deciding moments, when the ball feels like it weighs a ton, our execution failed miserably. With just over 20 seconds left, we allowed Jamal Murray and the Nuggets offense to open up a 6-point lead. That was a gut punch. Even with Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith Jr. hitting miraculous threes at the buzzer, the clock was unforgiving. We just didn't have time for a miracle. Now we need to have that honest locker room talk. What happened to our number 1 ranked offense? Last night the gears jammed. We shot just 44% from the field. And I need to address the elephant in the room. Kevin Durant. We love the guy, he changed the franchise's trajectory, but yesterday he was a shadow of his former self. Only 13 points in 35 minutes? Shooting 5 of 14 and only 1 3-pointer? That is unacceptable for a player of his caliber, especially in a game of this magnitude. He looked passive, hesitant, exactly when we needed that assassin's cold-bloodedness from him. And it wasn't just him. Alperen Sengun, our genius center, had the misfortune of facing the best in the world at his position. Jokic dominated the matchup, and Sengun, with 14 points and poor efficiency, couldn't impose his rhythm. Seeing our 2 main offensive weapons neutralized at home is a massive red flag for Ime Udoka. But it wasn't all darkness on this traumatic night. Amidst the chaos, a star shined so bright it almost blinded Denver's defense. If the veterans felt the pressure, the kid Reed Shepherd put the game in his pocket. Nation, what was that? The youngster played, without a doubt, the best game of his career so far. He dropped 27 points, with a hand so dialed in it looked laser-guided, draining 5 3-pointers. He had 20 points in the first half alone. If not for Shepherd's offensive explosion, we would have been humiliated and the game would have been over by halftime. He showed personality, grit, and pure talent. It's comforting to know that even when our stars have an off night, we have young guns ready to step up and take responsibility. This loss leaves us with a 1-2 record in Group C of the Cup, complicating our qualification chances. But, ironically, while we're licking our wounds from this lost battle, something very strange is happening in the national media. Usually, after a loss like this, analysts would tear us apart, calling the team a flash in the pan. But that's not what's happening. On the contrary, it seems this game, combined with what we've done in recent weeks, has sparked a surprising admiration from analysts who are usually super critical. What they are saying about our future and our style of play is going to leave your jaw on the floor. And get ready for this, because what I'm about to say is going to mess with the head of anyone who only looks at the box score. While we are here, biting our nails and lamenting the mistakes against Denver, a backstage league report just came out that completely changes our perspective on this season. You know that in the NBA there are boring wins, like those old San Antonio Spurs teams that put you to sleep, and spectacular wins, like the Showtime Lakers. Well, 13 games into this 2025-26 season, and the verdict from the national media is in. The Houston Rockets have officially become must-see TV in America. That's right. The watchability ranking from the prestigious The Ringer, led by analysts Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe, placed us 2nd overall on the list of teams you cannot miss, trailing only the same Nuggets that just beat us. And the reason for all this hype? It's not just because we were 10-3 before this round. It's how we are playing. We have the #1 offense in the entire NBA, with an absurd 123 offensive rating. But the stat that made Zach Lowe nearly fall out of his chair was our work on the glass. Nation, pay attention to this. We are on track to break the league's all-time record for offensive rebounding percentage. We are recovering 41% of our own misses. Lowe called it unheard of, and said we are absolutely gigantic on the court. This means that, psychologically, we are destroying opponents because every mistake we make turns into a new possession. It is a physical massacre in the paint that the NBA hasn't seen in decades. Beyond the numbers, there is the KD factor. Bill Simmons dropped a line that is music to our ears and silences the critics of our trade. He said this is the most fun he's had watching Kevin Durant play since 2017, his first year with the Warriors. He sees a happy KD, fully invested in Ime Udoka's system, not worrying about empty stats, but about making the team rotate. And look at the explosive mix Udoka has on his hands. We have the slow, cerebral genius of Alperen Sengun contrasting with the electric athleticism and defensive chaos of Amen Thompson. It's a nightmare for opposing defenses because they don't know whether to pack the paint or chase our rockets in transition. And remember what I said about resilience? All this historic offense and entertainment, is happening against a backdrop of brutal adversity. We cannot forget that we are operating without our general, Fred VanVleet, who is out for the season with that cursed ACL injury. Many thought the team would crumble without his veteran leadership at the point, that the offensive flow would completely stall. But we are seeing the opposite. We are finding ways to score in every way possible. Even if the game doesn't have that perfect flow all the time, the raw production is undeniable. Basically, the national media validated what we already felt deep down. On paper and on the court, we are title contenders. We aren't just a promise for 2027 anymore. The team is fun, it's productive, and according to them, captivating. But, and here enters my fear as a fan who's been burned before. Does being fun win championships? Being the league pass darlings is great for selling jerseys, but yesterday's loss showed that when things get tight in clutch time, the fun ends and the responsibility weighs heavy. And it is exactly this contradiction between the coolest team to watch and the team that froze at the end that leads me to a conclusion that might divide our fanbase right now. We are living in a paradox, nation. On one hand, we are the most lethal and entertaining offense in the NBA, shattering historic rebounding records. On the other, we shook when it mattered most against a direct rival and our superstar disappeared. The question that won't go away: do you prefer this collective Showtime team that enchants the media, or would you rather see a more selfish Kevin Durant taking over alone at the end, even if the game gets ugly? Was this loss a reality check or just an irrelevant stumble? I want to see the battle in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.